Well, welcome to the Raymore City Council work session for Monday, December the 19th, 2022. We have several items on our agenda tonight, most of which relate to Public Works, but I will turn it over to Mr. Fearborn for item A, Street Preservation Program 2023 through 2025.
Thank you, sir. And all of these will be Mr. Crass. So I'm just going to turn it over to him and let him get going.
Thank you. I'd also like to introduce, I don't think we've had an opportunity for you all to meet him, Trent Salisbury. He's been with us about 18 months. He is our assistant city engineer. He will be writing the professional engineer's exam this spring and also attending the Kansas University Certified Public Managers Program, the same one that several other folks have gone through. With that, I will, if you would, pass those down that side, Trent. And actually, the first two, Mr. Mayor, the first two items go together on the map here. So,
All right.
the first two items on the agenda, it should be the curb
Street pres
program and the
curb
street pres.
replacement.
And if I could just jump in, the council normally goes through this exercise of recommendation for next year's projects much later. I have asked Mr. Crass, because we are actually still trying to wrap up street preservation this year, and it's going to be 9 degrees while we're trying to wrap up street pres. So we have moved the recommendation phase to now. So Public Works the engineering department has been very busy doing a complete reevaluation of the curbs and the roads to get this recommendation to you all so we can bid it out over the winter and actually begin the work at the very beginning of spring before anybody else is even starting based on these recommendations. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir. So what you have before you is we have laid out, kind of modeled it after the capital improvement program, where we've laid out a 3-year program. The first year is the streets and work that we will be actually bidding out. The subsequent years are more for planning purposes, and then we'll reevaluate those next year. And so it's going to be a rolling kind of 3-year program. We've found that anything longer than that, the curbs and other things deteriorate, that we think this gives us a pretty good manageable snapshot that we can bring forward every year. One of the things we have done that's not specifically identified here, but what we're finding is as we go into and we're working in the neighborhoods, even though we've identified things in the blocks, we will occasionally around the corner from a street that we're working on, there'll be a number of driveways that are deteriorated. And so what we've built into this program is a $100,000 allowance, because under our standards, when we replace a driveway, we replace, if council will recall, because we're doing high back curb, we replace from driveway to driveway. So we've got an allowance in here of $100,000 for that, just miscellaneous repairs in the general work zones that we're working on. And so we've identified on the map by color, curb and asphalt only, and then roads that we are going to microsurface. And with that kind of concludes. With the council gives us consensus, we will then proceed with bidding this project, and that concludes my presentation, Mr. Fearborn.
Any questions, guys? I know you just got the map in front of you there, but as we move along, we will be talking about another item, but if you need to come back as you study the map a little bit more and have any questions that might pop up, or if you have any right now, please speak up. Okay. Yeah, John?
Is there a process in place if we find streets in our area that are severely deteriorated that maybe aren't on this map? Is there a process in place to add those, or have we gone past that point?
Let us know. We can go out and re-rate those streets if you have any in there and compare them to what's on here to see if they would elevate into it. We're always going to be, I mean, before you all saw this, we went out with the rating system that we have, and it, obviously, scarce resources, even though it's over $1 million, still scarce resources with as much work as needs to be done. But we'd be more than happy to go out and look at it and compare it on the rating system. Yeah, it hasn't been bid yet. So, and even after it's bid, there's still work that can be added.
Mr. Townsend, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And to that point, I've, a couple of streets that come to our attention that I've forwarded to Mr. Fairborn, I believe, if I remember correctly, I see a couple on here because of that. Going out and evaluating to see if they're, do meet the threshold as far as the rating system, and I believe a couple of them are on here for a few out years, so that process does work, so I appreciate that. By staff as well. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Barber.
Thank you. This is not my ward, but I know somebody, I work with somebody that lives on the street, so you might ask me. But the Wesley Avenue, is that just, you're doing 50 feet from Lucy Webb back? Is that what, that's just a little dot right there, number 15?
Yeah, it's a, the intersection there and a culvert crossing is pretty rough, so we programmed that for this year. The challenge we have with those streets is it's a very thin overlay on top of chip seal, and it's, yeah, so to do anything substantial there is going to eat up quite a bit, if not all of a future year budget.
Mike, is most of this contract work, or is all of it contract work?
This is all contract work, sir.
So what kind of degradation has to be present for us to use the equipment that we have for large section, not just pothole, but large section replacement? Don't we have equipment that can, say, cover an area half the size of this room for one, like a full wide road replacement section, or if it's evident that the curb is, or that the road is degrading in a particular area, but it's going to take severely more work by your guys than just pothole replacement, what do you guys do?
That pretty much, what you're describing pretty much exceeds our capacity. I mean, we can do patches about the size of this table, but we don't have a roller, we don't have a mill or anything
okay.
else that it
I was
takes to
under,
do.
I'm sorry, I was under the impression we had purchased something a couple of years ago that could make.
No, we've got the pothole patching trailer, but that allows us to do patches about the size of this table. We've got a very small roller, but if you're looking at, half road width and things like that,
Right.
we really don't have a roller that can do that.
I got you. Okay. Good to know, because I thought we did, and I've always wondered about that. All right. Anybody else, any questions? Yes.
Just for clarification, if we approve this, I apologize. There's still, obviously, once it gets bid, you can make a little bit of changes based on what we hear from constituents or what we see to where things start going. It's not like this is in concrete and this is the only thing that's going to be done, or it can't alter, like for 2025. I mean, I'm assuming.
No, this is alterable. If we end up
It's a good
run
game
up
plan.
on the end of the bid, it's going to be a choice of, and somebody comes in, again, we're more than happy if a constituent calls you to go out and re-rate the street.
Sure.
The question that the council would then need to answer is, what street are you going to pull off if that street goes into the rating?
Cool. Then we also do patching though as well. Like if there is something where it's not the whole street that needs it, but just a main issue, I'm assuming that can still be put to be reviewed. And then that way we can still help our constituents if there's a issue.
Well, this work not only includes overlay, but it does include base patching on the streets that we're overlaying. I would point out to council, we are fully programmed for all the dollars that you have given us. So as Mr. Fairborn said, if you want to substitute a street in, we've got to pull a street off.
Mr. Townsend?
I had a follow-on question to the mayor's point. Have we ever explored a city of our size and our growth trajectory with some of the subdivisions and different multifamily options and single-family communities that are coming online in out years, have we ever explored cost of if we were to purchase equipment to do a level of this maintenance, and what would that look like, or,
Well, it's not only equipment, but it's manpower, because not only do you have the people doing the work, you then have traffic control and other things. So it's not just a matter, and right now, where we are with the manpower we have, to do that, we're reallocating people from other crews when we do have work that requires traffic control and other things.
got it, excellent, thank you.
John?
Thank you. Mr. Townsend, I thought about that too, but I think a new asphalt mill is $500,000 to $1 million. And,
Or more, yes, sir.
yeah, and all they do is break. I mean, they break continuously, even the ones you rent, that there's so many moving parts to that. It would be awesome if we had the manpower to do that like some other cities, but I don't think we're big enough to maintain that, buy it, store it, and have the manpower to do all that work.
Just out of curiosity, Mike, what would a crew like that look like? I know it takes, what's the size of the crew for street painting?
Gosh, 9, I think.
That's for painting the streets. I would assume it'd be
Well,
about the same here.
Well, probably 2 dump truck operators, a mill operator, thank you, skid steer, paver, and a couple other laborers. So you're looking at probably 10 or 11 people, plus traffic control, plus flagmen.
Just curious. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Mike. Last item is the stop sign installation recommendation. Do you want to, is that another Michael question? All right. Thank you.
So it got pointed out to me by our Ward 1 council members that the plats that are involved in here in Timber Trails were very oddly put forward. When they first came to us, these plats, unlike any other plat that the city had, were approved without stop signs. And so it has been, with the exception of the stop signs at the major intersections that you see in the yellow. And so when it was brought to our attention that there were no residential stop signs here like in other locations in the city, nearly every other location in the city, I asked Mr. Krass to do a little bit of exploring, and here we are tonight. So, Mr. Krass.
Thank you. So what you have before you this evening is our proposed stop sign locations, which follows our stop sign policy for assigning right-of-way. As Mr. Fairborn said, the only 3 existing stop signs are shown in yellow, where Timber Trails currently intersects with Dean Avenue and Lucy Webb Road, and with the lower right-hand corner is Lemoore Estates, where that connects to Lucy Webb Road as well.
So you're looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 stop signs.
If the council is okay, staff would recommend that this be brought before you. Just one of those odd deals where the plat didn't have it, so it would be an amendment to the final plat would be what you'd be seeing, because that's where the stop signs get approved.
Mr. Barber, you got a question?
Yeah, I was just thinking, keep our citizens from breaking the law. Why couldn't we put yield signs? Because people don't seem to stop anymore.
We could make a new sign that's stop or yield, whichever you feel like.
There you go.
Strong suggestion.
We were talking 3 seconds, stop, and you're not ready to go. See a lot of farmer rolls going through the.
Oh, yeah, sure.
When the developer did this, that's when normally we ask the developers to put in the stop signs, correct? Or no?
The developer, go ahead, Mike.
We will determine where the stop signs go in. And so, but yes, the developer's ultimately responsible for installing them.
So at this point, because this, I mean, some of it's still being developed, could we have the developer pay for that, or are we paying for all the stop signs?
They are installing,
Go ahead, Mike.
they are installing the stop sign at Meadowlark and Woodview, where the cul-de-sac is at that intersection. They're also installing the stop sign at Dean Avenue and Meadowlark, and the stop sign at Woodview and Shagbark.
The issue is,
It got
what
approved.
we approved the stop sign plan that they put in. And so we'd be kind of, because it's going to be an amendment, we kind of feel like, I mean, we have a stop sign shop. We have a sign shop down at Public Works, so.
So it looks like that reduces our responsibility down to 12 instead of 16. Because where the newly constructed area is going is where we've approved them to put stop signs, and then we would cover the rest because of the pre-planning. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you. As Mr. Wills and I, this is our ward. I'm a resident of Timber Trails, and we routinely get emails and calls with respect to this particular community, particularly when the roundabout went in. Our community seems to be the thoroughfare, and sometimes the Legends Speedway to bypass that roundabout, in particular at the Meadowlark and Shagbark, or the Shagbark now, and Woodview. Those are bus stops for the kids in the mornings and in the evenings, particularly the younger school-age kids. And so not having any impediment for anyone to slow down coming through this particular area, and given the growth that's now occurring along the Woodview Drive and with the Meadowlark now cutting all the way through to Dean, even though it looks like it's overkill, it is much needed in this particular subdivision. So I appreciate staff bringing this forward, and hopefully the council will agree to approve this to install these particular roundabouts, these stop signs, so that we can, hopefully they will adhere to the stop and not yield as they come to this particular part of the town. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I assume these will have the little orange flags to let people notice that they're new, because, red's so not easy to notice.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
If nobody's opposed to it, we'll see that next time around. Okay. And that moves us to item D, which is other. Is there anything else you'd like to bring forward?
Thank you, sir. Just one item, reminder to the council that City Hall will be closed on Friday and Monday for the holiday. And as always, our dispatchers and our police officers will be here on a very, very, very cold, miserable day for everybody. And I am sure Public Works is also going to end up being in right now. The latest we hear is 4 to 6 inches. And that first night, Thursday night's going to be a wallop for us. So next meeting of the city council will be on January 2nd. Monday night, it will be a work session. That concludes all business tonight, sir.
All right. Anybody else have anything? And as a reminder, filing opens tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. All right. Well, have a great evening. We're adjourned.